This is a presentation that I did at Blockchain Sydney. It was a meetup in November, just this past Wednesday. Now, if you're there, you would have been able to interact with the Cardano community and the blockchain community there in Sydney, and it was an absolutely fantastic meetup. Thank you to Rob and Blockchain Sydney and all the event organizers there that were involved. It was a really good event. We had about 75 people roughly in the room that night, and the Cardano Foundation also provided pizza and food for the night as well. So thank you so much to the Cardano Foundation for sponsoring that event and providing us with a little bit of sustenance for the evening too. All right. Now, there were a lot of questions that coming from the audience as well. I tried to capture the questions in the presentation. It's a little bit hard, but I did what I could. There was also about another 15 minutes afterwards, which I had to cut out of the video recording as well, again, because the audio wasn't the best. But if you really want to be able to engage with the Cardano community at large, learn a little bit more, interact with people that are building on the blockchain itself, I highly recommend check out meetup.com. There are meetups all over the world in regards to these in real life events, and being able to connect with people and learn from them, learn from the experts is a really cool and fantastic thing. So I highly encourage you to get out there. Now, if you didn't realize, there is also the Cardano Summit, which is coming up as well. The announcement for the schedule has been released and all the details around it as well. So if you're interested in finding out what's going on there, please check out the links down below as well. The Cardano Summit is really cool. There's also the voting that is up for the summit as well. There's an award ceremony as well, so if you check that out, it's all on-chain voting. We did a interview with Pi about this as well, how the voting process works. You don't need to pay for the transactions, you're just signing transactions on this one. So it's really cool how it's all done. Absolutely love it. All right, let's get into it.
Coming here today. My name is Rebecca Ren. I'll be hosting this event tonight, and the event is organized by Blockchain Sydney today. We got one speaker today, Peter Bay from Cardano Foundation, and he's ambassador in Australia. He will cover the current state of the Cardano blockchain, misconceptions, and the future of DeFi and governance for Cardano. Over to you, Peter.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. So, I'll be doing a really broad overview of the Cardano ecosystems I know a lot of people aren't deeply into it, so this will cover the basis for you guys, but also might surprise some of you veterans out there as well that are deeply into the Cardano ecosystem, because I have some live demos. Fingers crossed they actually work. Just realized I need internet. We'll sort that out when I get there. I might have to tether to someone if they can volunteer their internet. Okay, so a little bit about me. Oh, well, first off, before I do anything, I have to thank the Cardano Foundation. I managed to get some money out of them for once to pay for the food. So thank you so much to the Cardano Foundation for the food. We'll work on that, and one day we'll get some beers out of them as well. They're very conservative in regards to that. But a little bit about me. I am a Cardano ambassador. I have been for about a year now. But I'm also work as an ambassador for a couple of DeFi protocols. Genius Yield, built on Cardano, Fluid Tokens, Noom. If you want to learn more about them, I can talk to him after. But I started my path down the Cardano ecosystem as a stake pool operator. So I did that, I think, in Feb 2021, somewhere around there. And I quickly learned that to be a successful stake pool operator, you really have to communicate, market your pool. So hence I went down the YouTube path. So if any of you have seen my YouTube videos, that's why that all started. But from there, a lot of other opportunities came about. It's been quite an exciting journey and a lot of hard work. I also work for a decentralized exchange built on the Milkometer sidechain for Cardano. Also now Algorand moving to Kava as of tomorrow, and they're also building their own chain on Cosmos. So as much as a Cardano maxi as I am, I admit that, look at me, seriously. I also believe in interoperability on all the different chains. So that's why I work for Blue Shift as well. And one quick plug before we get into things. Cardano Summit is coming up on the 19th. Corinne, back there, put your hand up. There we go. So Corinne is organising the Sydney one here on the 19th. On the 19th or the week after?
The 25th now.
The 25th. So if you can't make it to the Brisbane one, which is on the 19th, you can catch up with hers on the 25th, where you'll talk about the event. I'll get you to come up to do it. Okay, all right, let's get into the Cardano ecosystem. So what is exactly Cardano? It's a proof of stake blockchain platform, the first founded to be peer-reviewed, research developed through evidence-based methods. And this is probably what drew me into the Cardano ecosystem. I was throwing lots of money around in the ICO days in 2017, and I lost a lot of money. Hands up if you want to admit that. No one wants it? Okay, there we go, yeah, okay.
Very expensive Cardano we did.
So a lot of learning lessons there, you know, from all these hacks that we've seen over the last so long. I think October was one of the highest hack months in DeFi in general. But you know, I wanted to spend my time and effort on a blockchain that wouldn't suffer from these hacks and, you know, vulnerabilities and exploits and all that. So I believed in the research, taking it slow approach, and that's what attracted me to the Cardano ecosystem in general. But other things that you may not know, Cardano is extremely sustainable. The amount of energy that it takes to actually run the nodes on the blockchain is insignificantly small, less as much as a light bulb. So this is a node setup. This is a full stake pool setup on the Cardano blockchain. So I can't remember who was running this one, but you have the block producer node and then the two relays, so that's all you need to set up. These are done on Raspberry Pis. Each one of these costs about 350 Australian dollars, and then plus the networking gear, whatever that costs. And I think they draw about 11 watts of power each per hour. So it's an insignificant amount of power. So it's a very an easy entry point into the ecosystem. So if you want to be a validator on the Cardano blockchain, you don't need much power, you don't need much resources to be able to actually do that. And that's one of the things that drew me into the Cardano ecosystem too. I wanted to contribute. I didn't want to just throw money around. I wanted to actually be a part of the ecosystem. So I absolutely love that. Now the Cardano blockchain also strives to solve this trilemma, the three trilemma: security, scalability, and decentralization. And I believe that it's one of the blockchains that will actually be able to do that. It's highly secure with its proof of stake mechanism, highly decentralized in terms of its token distribution from its initial launch. And now we're moving into the scalability era of the blockchain as well. So we'll see scalability come into the chain, even though it's quite scalable as it is. So let's talk about the current state. So we know what Cardano is, what it's trying to do, but let's have a look at its current state and where things are at the moment. So this is the general roadmap. Some of these slides are courtesy of the Cardano Foundation. So we've gone through the first two eras of the development. We've gone through the Shelley era, which is the setup of the stake pools, the delegation, staking in general, which is a very nice way of staking. We've gone through the utility side of things, the Goguen era, which represents the metadata, the tokens, the initial smart contracts on the Cardano blockchain. So it took a while to get this state, but finally we had smart contracts, was it last year? Last year in September. And now we're going through the scalability era for the Cardano blockchain. So now we're seeing changes being made to optimize transactions and speed things up to a lot faster than what it used to be. And that's where we're at the moment. And then finally, once all those tweaks are done, we'll start looking into more of the governance era. Even though all this stuff is being done in the background already, I'll talk about governance a little bit later. Project Catalyst is an absolutely fantastic mechanism. Okay, so let's have a look at what staking is like in the Cardano ecosystem. So if you're staking ADA on an exchange, it's a completely different experience. Is anyone staking on an exchange at the moment? Yeah, a couple of people. Oh, other things, okay. I actually do want to make this interactive. So if you've got a question as I'm going through some of this stuff, please raise your hand, ask what, yep.
I mean, what sort of exchange?
Centralized? Or?
Like a Binance?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, okay. But do you stake your ADA on Binance?
I don't have ADA, I'm sorry.
Okay, that's cool, that's cool. We'll start somewhere. It's really cheap at the moment. What would...
Can you go to the previous slide?
Yep.
So when you say we are here, right? So is there any more releases going to come in Basho?
Yeah. Okay, so we're here. We're starting at that Basho era. So I'll talk a little bit. I'll expand on it a little bit later. But we're just going through the first stages of the Vassal hard fork, which happened last month before September, and then that was the first initial parts of the scaling. And then there's a lot more scaling to come along, and I'll do some demos of that as well. Okay, so it's completely different to DEX staking as well. So if you're used to DeFi on other ecosystems and you think staking, it's not that type of staking where you're staking your liquidity. It's literally staking it on your wallet and pointing your delegation to a stake pool on the Cardano ecosystem. And that's really important difference to note. You're not moving or releasing your ADA. It's a non-custodial process of staking. And that's really attracted me to the Cardano ecosystem. The ADA that you have and you stake never leaves your wallet. It's pure liquid staking. So I have my wallet. I want to stake it to a particular stake pool. Are there any other stake pool operators in the audience? Cool. Okay. I'm not alone. So you can stake it to your pool. What was your ticker? I couldn't hear it. New pool. Cool. Okay. So you can stake it to there. Your ADA never leaves your wallet. You can go out and buy all these NFTs and waste your money elsewhere while staking at the same time. And I absolutely love that. And I have wasted a lot of money on NFTs. Yeah. So it's a beautiful staking mechanism. I absolutely love it. And of course, you get rewarded for that process as well. Not for losing your ADA to NFTs, but you get rewarded for staking. The returns are roughly between 3.5 to 5%. It varies from different pools and changes over time. Now, I'll just bring up some stats in regards to how the ecosystem is looking at the moment as well. I thought I had October stats, but no, I copied the wrong slides. But this is back in September, and we have the amount of native tokens that are on the Cardano blockchain. We have the amount of transactions that are going through in the month of September. Amount of wallets are increasing. Delegated wallets are increasing, so there's a lot of wallets out there that aren't delegated for whatever reason. And the amount of Plutus scripts that are being executed. So these are the smart contracts. The smart contracts are on chain are increasing as well. So really good stats to see. Everything is growing in the Cardano ecosystem. But we're also seeing the NFT. I love NFTs. So we're also seeing the NFT ecosystem grow as well. So the amount of projects that are building on Cardano in general, the NFT projects, are growing. NFTs minted, 5.5 million NFTs minted at the moment, which is an absolute phenomenal stat. And the amount of NFTs sold, year one, 1.84 million, and market volume is increasing every single month. And this was a really interesting tweet that I just saw the other day. I don't know if you can see that. But Cardano's adoption keeps rising in the last 30 days. Its NFT trading volume hits 191 million, making it the third largest NFT protocol in October. In October. On October 19th, its network transactions reached 82,880, the highest number since May. So the NFT environment, the NFT ecosystem of Cardano is absolutely booming at the moment. So anyone that, I know there's people that are creating NFT projects, they're seeing that adoption at the moment on the Cardano blockchain. So why are NFTs growing? So these are some really cool benefits. There's no inflated price, reduces the barrier to entry and increases participation. Large storage capacity, hundreds of NFTs in one single transaction. And this is one of the really cool and key things with Cardano. When you're sending out a transaction to someone, say I'm sending something to Eric here, I can actually, in one transaction, send it to everyone in this room. So I can do one transaction, one cost for, I don't know, maybe 0.2 ADA, and I can send NFTs to everyone in this room in that one transaction. So that is a highly scalable setup with the EUTXO model of Cardano compared to other ecosystems such as Ethereum. You can't do that with Ethereum. I actually was on a Twitter space listening to someone that was creating a protocol on Ethereum, trying to do the same kind of token distribution and make it cost effective with all the gas fees in the same way that UTXO blockchains work. And I just heard that and went, oh, that sounds really messy and really complicated because you have to daisy chain through lots and lots of smart contracts. I just could not see that working. But Cardano can do that out of the box, and you can do that with many of the wallets. So if you haven't tried sending a transaction to multiple people, I do this on a regular basis because I have to pay out rewards to my other owners of the stake pool. So it's a really quick and easy way to do things like that. Okay. The other thing that is really cool is the predictable fees. So on other blockchains, you have to pay gas fees and bid to be able to get your transactions on chain. You don't get that in Cardano. All the costs are calculated beforehand. You know exactly what you're paying for, and the transactions don't fail. So you're not charged for failed transactions on the blockchain either. So you're not doing a large transaction, trying to pay the gas fees, a high gas fee to get your transaction through, and then suddenly it fails and you lose all that gas, and then you're out of pocket and you have a failed transaction. So that kind of stuff doesn't happen.
But how does that work? How does that work, like, without, because something has to process this transaction, right? So if someone sends a bad transaction, or a group of people decide that they send by a high amount of bad transactions, they will create a lot of work for the network without paying any fees. So
yeah.
How does this is an attack vector, right?
It's not.
Eric, you want to answer this one, Eric? Yeah, go on.
So those transactions, bad transactions will actually be rejected at the node they're submitted to. It's already rejected there. There's no way to do this.
So if I'm someone who wants to attack Cardano, I could actually create an army of people who will
and you will DDoS a whole bunch of your own nodes, or
yeah.
you can try and send transactions to every node on the network, but like they're all just going to reject your transactions. It's kind of hard to DDoS it like that. So I know that there's at least one other blockchain where that was actually a problem, but like. Cardano was designed from the ground up to be unconditionally stable under load. So it's very, very hard to do. If you find a way, we're very easy, we'll fix it. Go for your life, you're probably not going to find it.
You had a question?
I was just going to say, isn't there also collateral that is attached to the submission of a smart contract?
The other really important thing to note is that NFTs on the Cardano blockchain don't use smart contracts. So we had, I think it was in March 2021, was when tokens were released on the blockchain. I think it was the 1st of March, or 31st, I can't remember. But when it was released, there were no smart contracts, and people think, okay, all right, great, this is really cool. How are we going to have an ecosystem that is equivalent to Ethereum or Polkadot or whatever without smart contracts? And people worked around it and found ways to create a whole ecosystem.
It was designed in from the very start, like this way of doing tokens on Cardano was designed in without smart contracts from the start.
And it was a brilliant way of doing it.
Thank you.
Yes. Because like if you look into like smart contracts with tokens on other ecosystems, you can exploit those smart contracts and liquidate those NFTs or any value within those smart contracts. But this, because the tokens are native tokens and they get stored in your wallet, the only way to hack that is if you have your seed phrase exposed from your wallet, and it's not exposing the entire NFT collection, it's just your wallet that will get hacked or exposed. So that kind of security mechanism within it is just one aspect that's really cool about it. But now that you have these actual tokens within your wallets, there's so much utility that you can have around it and amazing things that you can do. But I've got a project that works deeply in it, and if you want to learn more about that, you can talk to me after. But we do have smart contracts, and the smart contract ecosystem is growing dramatically. So this is a really bad image because it just won't fit. But if you're interested in finding out what projects are building with smart contracts on the Cardano ecosystem, this website here, Cardano Cube, is a really good resource. They try and keep it up to date as much as possible, and it really highlights all the cool projects that are building on Cardano. Now, a lot of them have launched or are in testnet mode at the moment. Some of the really big protocols out there that use AI and all sorts of really cool fancy things are still in the process of launching. Because we've just had that Vassal hard fork, they waited for a couple of those features to be able to launch the smart contracts. I'll explain that in a little bit. But if we have a look at this one here, this is another breakdown of like the number of projects that are building on Cardano at the moment. So apparently, I don't know where these stats came from, IOG social media account. So 96 projects launched, 29 launching by the end of the year. There are over 11,000 people in the technical Discord. So if you want to learn how to develop something on Cardano, there is a specific IOHK technical Discord where you can join in, and that number keeps on growing and growing. You get a lot of help from the veterans out there. I've been developing the Cardano ecosystem for a while. If you want to learn how to build smart contracts, learn Plutus, that's definitely the place where you should start. Okay, now I was talking about the Vassal hard fork a little bit earlier. So this happened in September. With the Vassal hard fork, we saw scaling optimization, increased support for DApp growth, boosted network throughput, and also support for layer 2 capabilities. Now, what does this actually mean? So there were a couple of really key, or three key Cardano improvement proposals that were implemented in the last Vassal hard fork. And a lot of these things just made it easier for DApp developers to actually release their code. One of them was reference scripts. So that allowed developers to reference a smart contract that was already online. So instead of submitting the smart contract with every transaction, which they had to do, they can now just reference one that has been stored online already. It's actually very similar to how Ethereum works at the moment. But they can reference that script that's already on chain and make their transaction size extremely small because they're just referencing it. It's like a bookmark that's already stored somewhere else. So now they can say, hey, that's our big script over there, which is absolutely huge. In this transaction, just look over there for our complete script and then execute it that way. So a lot of these dApps that are really complex, that are doing DeFi 2.0, have been waiting for things like that to be able to actually launch and have a really better experience for people as well. So I was so excited for that to actually finally happen because now we can actually see some of these really complex scripts come out. Oh yeah, I just talked about that. So some of the complex dApps that are coming out now are the algorithmic and non-algorithmic stablecoins, the AI-powered DeFi that is coming out, and then these DEXs that actually work and act as centralized exchanges. So if you're really used to trading on a centralized exchange with order books, you see volume, you can interact with limit orders, all of that is available on some of these decentralized exchanges that are building on Cardano. So it's a really interesting development that a lot of these projects are doing. They're giving that real centralized experience, but in a decentralized way. So everything that you're used to as a trader, even some of them are doing APIs for bot trading as well. So if you're interested in some of those things, a lot of this stuff will be available on these decentralized exchanges. So let's have a look at any questions at the moment.
Yeah, can you give an example of one of those DEXs that looks like Saxo?
Yeah, AXO. Can I get some Wi-Fi access from someone? So that's AXO if you're interested in it.
Thank you.
Their white paper is about 96 pages if you want a bit of light bedtime reading.
Tomorrow morning.
Yeah, okay. So I've got some really cool things here coming up. So we talked a little bit about Cardano's transaction speeds. And when we look at transaction speeds for some of these other chains, they give some really cool stats. So I think this is a bit of a marketing thing for Telos. So hence they've got that, 10,000 transactions per second, Avalanche 4,500 TPS, etc., etc. Now, Cardano's measure is a little bit different in that it's actually really hard to measure, because I gave that little example before. Every transaction on Cardano can have other transactions in it. So now we have to work out how we read transactions on transactions. So every transaction that gets passed through the Cardano blockchain might have another 20, 30, 40, 50 transactions in it at the same time. So how do you actually measure that? And there's kind of a way. This is a really cool website that visualizes what's going on every block on the Cardano blockchain. So you can see, what's coming through it, how many actually transactions are going through. So it's got 25 transactions. What that's actually made up of. Is it made up of tokens being distributed to different addresses, etc., etc. Also the complex transactions, the smart contracts, where it's coming from. So it really gives you that overview about what's going on. Now, they did used to have a breakdown of an estimated transaction per second as well. But they've taken it off for whatever reason, so I can't demonstrate that. But you can see every single block that's going through actually has so many different parts to it in terms of transactions and what it's made up of. So I absolutely love this website. It's a work in progress, eutxo.org. Now, in terms of other things in regards to scalability and building up the Cardano blockchain, did they take it offline? No, they didn't. Okay, good. This was a really cool demo from Sunday Swap at Rare Bloom. So this is the first UI implementation of Hydra. So Hydra is one of the scaling solutions for Cardano, where it's a L2 solution where you can set up multiple nodes, and those nodes will talk to each other and do transactions, pass the transactions through it. Now, in doing so through the Hydra heads, you can get almost instantaneous transactions. Now, I've just got to swap this around. There we go. So I can do 50. So this is actually a live demo, and if I could pass the link around to everyone, I'll get everyone in the room to actually smash this button and see if we can break their Hydra setup. But literally, all you need to do is click. That's a successful transaction. That's another one. So that's the type of speed that we're looking at, and it can handle everyone in the room smashing that commit and swap button at the same time. So that kind of like swap experience, that kind of speed is what we will see once this is implemented. So this is a work in progress at the moment. It's Sunday Swap's gummy worm protocol using Hydra heads. So we will see, this is just running their smart contracts that they have on their decks at the moment. So it's not a improved smart contract. They haven't written anything differently. It's the same smart contracts and we can literally just smash this swap button. The slowest thing is the communication to the server. I don't know how fast or how slow the internet is here at the moment, but you can see those coming through, and then like the corresponding order come through on the side there. Now, when I was actually demoing this with Pi, who I did an interview with, he had on his end, the code interface and seeing the transactions go through on the command line. So we could actually verify and see what was going on at the same time. So if you want to see the video interview about that, it's on the YouTube channel. So the interoperability side of things. So this is something that I'm really passionate about, and being able to communicate and talk to other blockchains is really important. So just give me a second, guys. I'll finish up here real soon. So one of the projects that is working on that interoperability for Cardano is Milkometer. So Milkometer spawned out from a couple of developers that worked deeply in the Cardano ecosystem. and they went off and started their own project, formed a company called DC Spark, and one of their products is Milkometer. So Milkometer at the moment works as a sidechain. They do have plans to make it a full roll-up on the Cardano blockchain as well. So all the TVL that's included on the Milkometer sidechain will eventually be included on the Cardano mainnet as well. They have some really cool and unique tech. It's an EVM-based sidechain, by the way. So it's made that way to attract EVM developers to the ecosystem. But we're also seeing something that's called wrapped smart contracts. And what that is you can execute a contract on the Cardano blockchain through a regular Cardano wallet, but then interact with it on the EVM sidechain. So being able to do that means that DEXs or GameFi or anything else that is building on the Cardano blockchain and people that are used to the native way of working there can actually interact directly on the EVM sidechain, have lower fees, be able to interact with Ethereum-based assets that are on that sidechain as well, and be able to do some really cool things around that. So I'm really excited about that kind of future. And what we're also seeing with Milkometer is that they're rolling out to different chains. So last week they rolled out to Algorand. So now there's capabilities to move assets from Algorand over to Cardano and vice versa. And then they'll be moving, I believe it's Solana after that. So you'll be able to see Solana assets move over to Algorand and also to Cardano. So that level of interoperability is absolutely amazing, and I can't wait for that to happen. Now I know that, yep.
So you said that this is a
Microphone? Where'd that other microphone go? Yep.
I can.
Yep.
So you said that this is a side chain, right?
Yep, it's a side chain.
That's the main Cardano network.
Yep.
Will it be merged with Cardano, or will this be the new Cardano, or what?
No. It would always be something that is built on the side for scalability. So eventually it become a roll-up, and essentially when transactions happen, it will communicate back to the mainnet to prove that it's happened.
So it's an official thing for Cardano. It's not like Ethereum Classic or.
No. It's an official thing that will be a part of the Cardano ecosystem, and that's just one of the side chains that's being built. So IHK have their own as well, so they're building their own EVM sidechain as well, and working through those processes and building bridges as well. So all these bridges are currently interacting, connecting with Milkometer. So we've got multi-chain, Seller, we had Nomad, but we know what happened there. But all these bridges are interacting with it, and with that can interact with the Cardano blockchain as well. Now I know a lot of those bridge companies are actually working to interact directly with Cardano as well, so they don't need to go to Milkometer. So we'll have that interoperability and assets coming through to the Cardano blockchain that way. It's just a development process they have to go through. So they waited for the smart contracts to be available, et cetera, et cetera. So they're going through audits, testing, and everything else that they need to do. Yep. Now the last part, yep, sorry.
You mentioned Nomad.
Yep, Nomad, yep.
Is there anything built into Cardano that would prevent that kind of?
Is there anything built into Cardano that would defend against that? Now, from what I know of the Nomad exploit, it's one little variable that they set to 0 that allowed them to exploit and withdraw all those funds. I'm not a Cardano or Plutus developer. Eric, do you want to comment it?
I don't know anything about Nomad, so...
Yeah, okay. It was a stuff up with the developers, what they did. So normally it would have been totally safe, but it was like an oversight. So, you know, that it's kind of like a development process, and they accidentally left one of their testing things open and just let people withdraw the funds. And as soon as everyone worked it out, everyone just jumped in and just withdrew the funds. So I think that comes down to, from my point of view, I think that comes down to development practices. Yeah. Okay, last part of this presentation is around governance. So this is the last era in the roadmap for the Cardano ecosystem, but there is a lot of work that's happening in terms of governance and the future of that at the moment. So I hate that thing. If you haven't heard, Project Catalyst is the foundation of governance on Cardano. So they have their own treasury. And if you're a project that is interested in building on Cardano, if you're interested in getting funding and working with the chain itself, you can submit a proposal every 3 or so months to Project Catalyst and potentially get funded for it. So last Fund 9, one of our projects actually got some funding, hooray. It wasn't much compared to some of these other projects. I was quite happy with 30K, 30,000 US dollars. But when I went to Rare Bloom and CNFTCon and talked to some of the other projects, they were throwing around numbers like 250,000, $500,000. I was like, what? Are you serious? I should have asked for some more. But there is that funding available there so that anyone in the Cardano ecosystem, once these proposals up, you can actually vote for these projects. And you can say, hey, I think they're building something really cool for the Cardano ecosystem. That team is building all these dev tools that we need to build our project. I can actually vote for that and help drive and direct the future of the Cardano blockchain. So a lot of these proposals really do help out the ecosystem, and it's an absolutely brilliant mechanism and vehicle that you can join in and help direct the future. So if you want to build a project on the Cardano ecosystem, submit a proposal, join the ecosystem. If you want to help steer and direct the ecosystem as well, if you have a wallet that is staked to a stake pool, you have a minimum, I think, of 500 ADA, you can register that wallet to vote and participate in the voting ecosystem. If you want to actually vet and review all of the proposals that go through the ecosystem as well, you can be a Catalyst advisor. And you actually get paid for all these aspects. You get paid for voting, you get paid for being an advisor, and you get obviously paid if you win proposals. But you can also be a Catalyst advisor. You can vet, review all these proposals, and get a little bit of incentive for them. Do we have many Catalyst advisors in the room? We have one. And thank you for your hard work. It's a really hard job. I think we had in the last round about 1,100 something or other proposals go through, which is a ridiculous amount of proposals. Was it 24 million US dollars? Can't remember. I'm pretty sure it was 24 million. 6,000 proposals. Okay, I got that number wrong. But every fund, that amount of money doubles. So you get more and more funding every single round. Question at the back. We need the mic. You have to come up or the mic. So the question was, what does a Catalyst advisor, what their role is. So I don't do this role, but Corinne does.
Hi everyone, I'm Corinne.
Nice and close.
A Catalyst advisor is now renamed to a proposal assessor. So everyone who's applying for funding makes their proposal through the IdeaScale platform, which you can find pretty much on, if you just Google Project Catalyst. So anyone can go through the process, say what their idea is, the community will help and ideate and improve. And then when you press go on that, the proposal assessors will read it. There's thousands of proposal assessors, and your proposal will be assessed at least 5 times. And then after that, it will move through to the next round, which is veteran proposal assessors.
You're essentially looking for the fakes and scams. Yeah, so a lot of people will submit a proposal that is a blatant scam, but it's worded and written in such a way with all that marketing jazz that people don't realize. So it's pretty important that someone with experience goes through and does the rating review. So you review 3 different things, right?
Yeah, we're going through looking at feasibility of the project, the impact that the project will make, and we're basically doing a bit of internet sleuthing and looking into the background of the proposers, see if they've actually achieved what they said, if they've proposed previously, and look into projects they've worked on before, just make sure that they're legit.
Yep.
Shall I plug my thing now?
Sure, go ahead. Yeah.
while I'm up here, I just wanted to invite you guys all to, on the 25th, I'm holding a Cardano Meetup, which will be at the Swiss Hotel, because the main Cardano event is in Switzerland, so I thought that would be appropriate. I still haven't got the money out of the Cardano Foundation, so within the next couple of days, hopefully I'll be able to advertise and get the invite out to everyone. Thank you, Pete.
Yep, that's cool. It's a very hard process getting money from them. Yep.
Is running on a DAO or it's a manual process?
Yeah, eventually this whole process, because it has a treasury behind it, it will work towards a DAO. There's a lot of tooling, so if you wanted to run a DAO on the Cardano ecosystem, you can. There's a multi-sig roundtable DAO wallets, there's DAO tooling, DAO voting mechanisms. I built a tool for DAO voting as well, on-chain DAO voting. So there's a lot of stuff around it. All that stuff hasn't been implemented in Project Catalyst itself yet. So it's a very manual process, a Web 2 process at the moment for Project Catalyst, but they're moving towards it. So like every iteration of Project Catalyst, every single fund changes because they learn from the lessons of the previous funds, what went wrong, get feedback from the community, what they can improve, and the next fund gets better and better. So yeah. So that's the future of the Cardano governance. Now I had a couple of different slides here, but I might just skip them. If you want to find out more about Cardano and the Cardano Foundation, they're the websites, cardanofoundation.org, Cardano.org as well. If you want to get into development and start building, developers.cardano.org is the best place to start, the developer portal. And if you want to just communicate with the community, get questions answered, forum.cardano.org. And last but not least, just a reminder about the Cardano Summit as well. If you can't make it to Brisbane on the 19th, obviously the 25th here in Sydney, but the main summit in Switzerland will be live streamed. The 19th, I think, is just the introductory night, but the 20th and 21st, there's over 20 speakers. That's quite a big event. People from all around the world will be presenting as well. So it's a good event to chime in online if you can't make it to Brisbane. I think there's also one in Perth, but no one travels to Perth, so we don't need to worry about that. Okay, that's it. Thank you. Now, like I said, if you're really interested in engaging with the Cardano community in real life, check out these events. There are over 50 community events for the Cardano Summit itself. You should be able to find one that's pretty close to where you are. It's all throughout different major locations around the world. So please check out the website. Again, links down below for you. Check that all out, and hopefully you have a really cool and engaging Cardano Summit event. If you can't make it to one of those locations, all of the main event presentations and speakers and whatnot will be streamed online. Our Brisbane event will also be streamed, and it's a day earlier before the rest of the world, so you'll be able to see what's happening in Australia and engage with us as well. So hopefully, if I don't see you in person, I'll see you online, and if not, also at the Cardano Summit online as well. All right, I'll see you in the next video.
Yeah, gotta do it like that. You've been listening to the Learn Cardano podcast. Gotta get it hype. Crypto is what we like, but this is not investment or financial advice. Gotta do your research, cause it's risky. We know it is. This show is educational and it's informative. Crypto's the future, really, it ain't no debate.